New year, new beginnings, new you. But maybe not. Maybe it's the same old thing, different day. How can we face the new year, new goals, knowing we might fail? What if I told you that humans aren't perfectionists? We're survivalists. Where we are in life is not because of a string of perfect decisions with small moments of imperfection. Rather, we are the result of all of the continuous corrections we've made from a lifelong string of failures, with bright moments of clarity and perfection peppered all too sparingly along the way. Who we are is who we decide to be. Every day, we have a choice. And so, with gratitude and grace, and with frank forgiveness for the foibles we will face in the coming year, and to the triumphant but taciturn tacticians that stumble towards greatness, we raise a glass and welcome you to the show. Ready? Let's go.
LAWsome, the podcast for law firms. Powered by Consultwebs.
Welcome back to a very special and short supplemental holiday episode of LAWsome, the only podcast that likes to get stuck in the chimney to finally get some me time. I am your co-ho-ho-host, Jake Sanders, and with me is Mr. Mistletoe himself, Paul Julius. Paul, do you have any New Year's resolutions there? Or do you celebrate that stuff? Do you do that? Do you observe? No.
Nope. Not one. Not doing a single thing. I don't resolve anything. I don't resolve to make any changes, resolve anything, nothing at all. Good. Not a damn thing.
Good for you. Is there?
Yep.
Did you once have a resolution? And you've been burned?
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. I've tried it in the past, and it's just gone really wrong. And so now I just shy away from that stuff, man.
Well, when I was growing up, one thing I really wanted was a lucky charm, like a lucky thing. Like I was really fascinated by the rabbit foot, and I got my lucky this. And I always wanted to, court objects as my lucky object, and I always lost them. So maybe there's some correlation there.
It could be.
Seems unlucky.
We'll leave it up to the listeners to put the pieces together to find the hidden message that we're trying to lay out for you here.
Well, let's wrap it up. Let's tell them what's on this show.
All right, man. On the show, we look forward to the new year and talk about trends, topics we've seen in the past, what we see coming in the future, and what we're hopeful for.
What sums up 2019 marketing trends? So we're going to start by going over what we think were the trends of note in 2019. In legal marketing, legal tech, it seemed like the venture capital money was flowing heavily. Almost $1 billion going into legal tech. The winners, Clio, Do Not Pay, Case Text, a couple other winners there. But the big story is legal tech investments are coming in hot, 2019.
Next one up, social media. Twitter, banning political ads. Thank you. It's a good start. You can do more. Google addressing targeting. Again, I think they may be doing this because they see the writing on the wall as far as laws. So it's better to get in front of it and be like, hey, we're all good. Right. Facebook did nothing, as I think we predicted. No one's surprised. TikTok exploding onto the U.S. scene and then sending all that data straight to China.
Voice. Everything was smart speakers at the beginning of 2019. According to an article in The Drum, for all the potential voice search remains a niche pursuit for advertisers today. Only 1 in 10 U.S. practitioners plan to include it within their marketing strategy for 2020.
And I think people aren't even optimizing for it, really.
Well, but there's more coming on that later. Like I think things are changing, but most people aren't allocating, any part of their budgets towards voice search or, that voice optimization stuff that you're talking about.
WeWork was a fail. Venture capital funded startups that burn bright and fast are looking at WeWork as like a sacrificial lamb. Profits, businesses need to make money. Marketing got WeWork and all the disruptive darlings to where they are. And you can thank marketing for getting there, but you have to make money. That's the biggest thing. WeWork was a philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Which isn't a marketing plan.
Yeah. Well, and I think something people need to keep in mind about venture, VC people is they are very much kind of like gamblers. So there's an acceptable, something can be out just because people they're spending money on it doesn't mean it's necessarily a great idea.
Right. Thomas Hamilton was talking about deal heat. He was saying there's a lot of deal heat. That doesn't quite necessarily portend to future success, as WeWork is the case. Uber lost its license in London, is fighting over those regulations. Things are changing. So that was a 2019 trend.
Yeah.
Brand purpose was big. Remember when Gillette saved the world from ourselves with their ad?
Yes. Thank God for that razor company.
A lot of social commentary and ads, marketing around purpose. A lot of people believe in this stuff. Just get into a purposeful stance and then you can take it on. But, that huge Super Bowl ad, in 2019, Procter & Gamble had to take a $9 billion write-down for Gillette. So the estimation for their profits were off by $9 billion. Not that is directly correlated with the ad, but you'd think that in a world where people said, oh, hey, you made a good decision, here's my money, Gillette should have been rocking off because it was the right message. There was something there, but turns out it wasn't quite related to the profits that they needed to make. So brand purpose was a fail there, but there was a brand purpose win with Dick's Sporting Goods pulling rifles and guns from their stores.
Yep.
Everybody was really worried, and they beat Wall Street's estimates by $2 billion. Every quarter, they beat the street. So on one hand, you say there's purpose there. That was the right thing to do. And then on the other hand, there's purpose here, but was that really the right thing to do? There's a bit of a win, bit of a fail there. So I thought that was interesting. I don't think it's settled, but I know that brand purpose is less important than getting a good strategy, getting good advertising channels that you can believe in, a good campaign, rather than taking the momentary flame off of a zeitgeist and hoping that you can cash in and sell some razors. We're going to move on. What did we get wrong from last year's episode? We said this about Google ads.
Google is going to keep messing with your life. Changes to ads, new opportunities on YouTube, personalized search results, and probably some other stuff they're keeping secret.
So, Paul, what do you want to say about that? Did we get that right?
You got it right.
Yeah.
AdWords became Google Ads. Changes to text links and ads, targeting and affiliate ad groups, closing and new ones opening. The biggest one here, and I called it, I've seen this coming for a long time, is being able to run search ads using audience targeting in lieu of keywords. It can be potentially, I'm going to keep my eye on this, but I've been seeing this coming for a long time. I think this is a big deal.
Another prediction we had last year was that mass media and connected TV ads and streaming, there's going to be more ad spend going towards that. We got that right. We said this about Google Beacons.
Google Beacons. It's happening now, but it's going to blow up in 2019. Google Watkins?
So Paul, this was interesting. Explain a little bit how we got that wrong. I thought that was cool, like a little beacon, a perimeter, thing that goes off and proximity alerts and all that stuff. What happened?
Yeah, so I thought it would be cool too, but I think the technology was just too weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was too hard to get involved in. Like there was a lot of coding. I mean, I agree with you. I pictured like advertisers with a bunch of these in their coats, just like walking around throwing them in, like trackers, like you see in like Mission Impossible.
Totally like under the van.
Around.
Whoosh.
Yeah.
Right.
It was an interesting idea. And there is potential there.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that the real world application is where it kind of failed, and it's a little disappointing.
Yeah. And there were concerns about privacy, and that goes into our next prediction about Facebook continuing to make bad decisions and around privacy, around everything. And we got that right. They continued to just make really questionable moves. And now it's beyond the pale.
We'll get to this a little bit more in the predictions. But there is a mass movement, much bigger than there was, even the prior year, of people just leaving Facebook.
So along with that, people leaving Facebook, maybe Facebook will hear that. But another thing that they might hear is liability around connected networks, the internet products. We're going to see California Consumer Protection Act going into effect in January. We made a prediction about that last year, that it might come into effect and change things. We're right at the moment where we're going to see that. And I think Facebook might clean up its act so it could have a brand safe. maybe not. Okay, anyway. All right, moving on.
Facebook.
So talk about that. What trends do we see in 2020? What do you got there? What are you starting with, Paul?
We're going to start with Clio. That's a lot of money. $25 million, right? Is that what Jack got?
Something wild.
That's a lot of money. They're going to cash in and they're going to head into the marketplace. And I think we're going to see a real, when people get money like that, some consolidation starts to occur. So I think that's what I would keep an eye on, that they're going to be pouring some money in to providing some, all-in-one solutions, I think, for law firms at different levels. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that kind of influx of cash.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Thinking about that CCPA, California Consumer Protection Act, like the GDPR in the EU, I think basically what this means is that anyone who's holding personal data online for your business, you have to be able to show everyone in the data set where the data is, how the company collects it, and if anyone in that data set wants it, you have to be able to give them a copy. That's basically it. But there's a lot of marketers who are not ready for this, ad agencies who are not ready for this, law firms who are not ready for this. And it'd be interesting to see what the first couple of cases are that go up against this, Protection Act. Hopefully it'll change the way people are behaving, the way consumers are protected, but CCPA might have somebody come and get some marketers for holding some data, or a law firm, somebody who has some data. Then we're going to see a case, and then the law is going to set some precedent around here. So that's what I'm thinking might happen. But we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think that one's going to be interpreted through the courts for sure.
Yep.
The next one I got, ad-free content may not be like that for long. Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, folks are paying to skip ads. I think I want to see more native ads, more content marketing, more stuff like that. I don't know that there will ever be truly ad-free content anyway. I mean, with product placement and stuff like that, I mean, you're always getting bombed with stuff one way or the other. I think there's something there. Netflix with ads, it's people are going to freak out. But you know what? I think after a little while, it'll be like, okay.
Well, but also I think it might portend to people not quite willing to suspend their belief for ads, and it's going to require marketers in 2020 to create content marketing or advertising vehicles that aren't traditional. Something like the next prediction is podcasts. Oh my gosh, everybody's talking about podcasts. Everybody wants a podcast. The truth is, you're not the only one. Google search engines are hoovering up podcast data, and now is the best time to get involved with a consistent and useful podcast. It's got to be consistent, got to be focused on an audience. But some stats that we found, average time on a blog is 2 minutes versus 24 minutes with an episode from a podcast. Since we launched our podcast, subscribers have been spending an average of 100 hours a month with the content that we create through the podcast, talking about legal marketing for 100 hours a month, talking about law firm development for 100 hours a month. No blog does that. So we see a podcast renaissance coming in 2020. It'll be a part of people's advertising spend and marketing spend.
Online digital advertising will go from $59 billion to $67 billion. Traditional ad spend in the U.S. will be at $94 billion. That's all I got to say. That's a staggering amount of money.
And
Staggering.
Another theme we think is going to be happening in 2020 is there should be more scrutiny of these giant unicorn numbers and fairy tale stories. We had Dr. Augustin Fu on here talking about ad fraud. That'll definitely be a part of that spend. A lot of that'll be wasted. Smart advertisers who are making valuable content on a website that they believe in, they're going to stand to gain the most. People who are trying to, get eyeballs and get for impressions and go for the least amount of spend on the most amount of reach are going to get burned fraud-wise. So we'll see what happens with the CCPA if that becomes something that creates a brand safe environment. We will see. So what are we worried about in 2020? Paul, what are you worried about?
Oh, man. Balance. So we've talked about balance a lot. We put out the nutrition guide talking about a balanced marketing plan, but marketing mixes need to balance long and short term goals, sales, and brand. Everyone's loving the fastest brand's take on the latest meme, whether it's the Peloton wife or duct tape bananas, but completely ignoring their own house and no long-term brand assets. It's, like Jake, you so eloquently termed restless marketing syndrome. Next thing. And we're just, pinballing around, not really taking a linear approach to a longer time frame with regards to marketing and most importantly ROI.
Yeah, agreed. And what I'm personally worried about is the informational ecosystem and the warfare that happens for attention. It really seems like the person who gets to the truth first and spins it the fastest gets to describe what happens to reality objectively for a little bit. And I think it's really weird because marketers and advertisers would love to manipulate media cycles and cause viral storms. And we're kind of, unfortunately, seeing outrage and a lot of political disinformation running, sort of the algorithms and the impressions. And I'm worried about that in 2020 because I think through social media and our filters, we're not gaining the whole picture. It's sort of like the 6 blind men describing what an elephant feels like by feeling a different part of its body. And then as they describe an elephant, it's completely different. It's not a complete picture. I'm worried that we'll be isolated, and then that will just sort of define where we are, and we'll silo up and we'll be filtered, and I think discernible reality will kind of escape. And that's the thing that advertising relies on. We need to have an information exchange system with people that people trust. And advertisers and marketers need to stand up for this. That's what I'm worried about. And I think there could be a possibility. But that's what we're hopeful for. That transitions fine into this because people investing their marketing dollars in experiences, better understanding of client experience, making content that can be experienced like podcasts or audio blogs, showing up to events, connecting LinkedIn with their offline marketing, networking events. That's what we're hopeful for. People investing dollars in experiences. What else, Paul? What are we hopeful for? What are you hopeful for?
Listening. More marketers will be creating content that deserves to be heard, and to the theme of our Christmas Carol, law firm owners will be listening to their vendors and staff and clients. Don't do what you think because you like it. You need to listen to what other people say about it. Take feedback, for God's sake,
and ask for it.
Yeah.
Lastly, I think content marketers, advertisers have a moral obligation to make truthful, worthwhile content and advertising. We don't have any room to make anything that isn't useful, that isn't truthful, that isn't interesting, that's boring. We have no reason to make that stuff. We have to be valuable on behalf of our patrons, and we have to make content that an audience cares about. And that's what I'm hopeful for. I can see it happening. Let's wrap it up.
Man, this has been an amazing second year for our show. We've tripled our listenership. We're way over 30,000 downloads. We've racked up almost 3,000 hours of playtime through Apple Podcasts. We're available in 86 digital destinations across the world. And we're just getting warmed up.
It's a profound honor to meet the amazing guests that power this show, learn about the legal community, and discover different fun ways to entertain and inform lawyers on marketing and law firm development. Paul and I have a blast making this show and learning, and we hope you have the same experience. So please reach out, review the show, send us a message on topics, or if you want to be on the show, get on here. Tell us what you like, tell us what you hate, rate us, review us, and we will be here to listen to all that feedback like you've been so kind to listen to us. So we'll be back here, same day, in the same way, next year. Until then.
Stay lawsome.